Hey, what's up guys? Today we're gonna be talking about the foot strike. This is, I think, one of the most important, if not the most important thing when it comes to sprinting. And over the past few weeks, I've really been trying to concentrate on how to be able to maximize the range of motion within the ankle to help athletes in being able to run fast, starting at the most basic level, and we'll be able to progress up from there. So first, make it so you can have some power in striking the ground here. So I'm just getting that range. And then I wanna be able to strike as I'm transitioning my weight up and over, just getting what that should feel like when I'm striking the ground. I could do that not only from a straight position, but I could also do that from more of like where my foot would be when I'm going through my start, and making it so I'm getting that horizontal position where my toe is down and my heel is up, and being able to have stability there as I'm striking the ground. And then what I would just do is go through and run with that a little bit and just really feel what that feels like to have the foot strike the ground. And I'm just really emphasizing having a forward lean as I'm doing this, and obviously not going 100%. I just want to be good with that foot strike. And then the next part is going to be the flick off with the foot and being able to be good in how my foot is leaving the ground. The best way that I think I can relate to this or be able to describe it, it's very similar to how your wrist wants to be flicking as you're throwing a football or baseball. That's how you want to be flicking with the ankle, and that it wants to be very quick and very forceful. And then once you can get better at flicking that foot and getting the range through the foot, we'd want to be able to do that and get the knee through, right? So I'm flicking that foot right up and through. How fast can I go from that position with my toe as far back as I can to that position with my toe all the way up? And the faster you can do that, the more coordinated you can do that, the better you're going to be able to sprint. And that's just the reality of the situation. So once I can start feeling this, again, I'm going to apply that into my running, where I'm flicking off with my foot and then running forward. So overemphasizing extension of my foot as I'm going through my steps. This one is a little bit harder to be able to feel, but what I would say with it, a good way to be able to see if someone is doing it well, or to see if you're doing it well, is, are you lifting with the heel or are you pushing with the toe, right? So if you're lifting with the heel, it ends up being more of this, right? But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a push with the foot. I won't be getting as high up with my feet. And being able to do that nice and quickly, again, we'll just go with like a jog here. And the focus is just on feeling that range through the ankle. Typically from there, what I would do is get into either running on the treadmill or going through starts, going through accelerations. Could even potentially do stuff on like the sled or with resistance behind you, just so you can again feel what that should feel like within your feet, within the ankle, as you're going through acceleration. I want to go over a few exercises or drills or things that you could do to help improve the range within the foot if that ends up being one of your problems. First, we're going to work on just improving dorsiflexion, or how much range I can get with my foot coming all the way up. Just use the slant board. From here, I just want to keep my leg as straight as I can and be able to shift all of my weight up onto the slant board. I'm actively trying to push my heel down to make it so I can get better range through the back of my leg, and I could also be squeezing at the front of my shins or my anterior tibialis to make it so I can get better activation through that muscle. So I'm really just trying to get the range. I want to keep my toes nice and straight. The more outwards I get here, then the more difficult it's going to be on my shins. The closer that I have my feet in, like where I started, then the easier it's going to be just for progression. Here we'll just go and, right, and when I'm doing this, it's all about the range here, right? I'm not doing this where I'm keeping my toe down. I'm trying to lift up with my ankle, okay? Another common mistake that I see with this is people will try to go like they're lifting with their hip flexor, right? Trying to lift up their whole foot. It's not a hip flexor, it's an ankle. First, we gotta get the range of motion, then we gotta get the muscle activation, then we gotta be able to actually control the action. If you can't get it by doing the jump, start off just by holding on to something, you're on one foot, and just work that timing there. And then the progression from here would be the jumps. And then the opposite end of that would just be being able to work on getting that horizontal push, right? And again, I want to be able to work on the range, okay? And working on the range can just be getting here, right? So I have, again, something I'm leaning on, and I'm trying to get as far forward with my foot as I can to be able to help me improve the ability to get full range within my foot, within my toe. I could also just go with like my heels all the way up and just squat down, be able to get into that position, do the same thing on just one leg. Not gonna be able to get as low, but you'll be able to get good range in the foot and the toe. We gotta just keep that heel up. We can't have that heel dropping. You could also even get into this position and just come all the way up, all the way down. We've done these exercises in the past. A lot of these concepts we've talked about in the past. This is just a video to put it all together. So we already talked about where it's push off, drive the knee through. So we'd want to be able to just get that concept down. With the calf, it's not going to be as much about the strengthening side. Yeah, we could do like what I was just doing where, you know, we're working on being able to strengthen the calf. For most of you guys, getting the range within the foot, getting the range within the ankle, and then just working on pushing here, right? And you could hopefully kind of hear as my foot's leaving the ground, how it's making that noise to make it so you could kind of relate to the action that should be happening within the toe. So it's really getting a lot of push off, and then it would just be driving the knee right back up and through. And I would just do that 20 or 30 times before you even go and start running. If this is an issue, if pushing off is an issue, do you see that being a problem within your running, then you gotta just drill it. If you need to work on the range of motion, if some of those range of motion exercises were difficult for you, definitely work on that. But most people, it's not a strength or range when it comes to the calf. If you're a runner, just because you're gonna have a lot of range of motion there, it's gonna come down much more to your ability to actually utilize your ankle joint when you're running. And by getting better with that, you're gonna be able to see massive improvements within how much distance you can cover per step, and also how fast you're turning over your legs, which is gonna be huge when it comes to sprinting, right? When it comes to going from point A to point B, it's a lot about how much time you're spending on the ground, as well as how much distance are you covering per step. No better way to improve both those areas than to increase your turnover speed, as well as your push off, to make it so now you're really opening up within your stride. And that's really what's most important about this video, I'd say, is really understanding the push off. I started realizing there's a lot of people that are getting so stuck in knee drive, toe up, that they're losing that push off. There's a lot of people that don't have an issue with the push off, and I agree with that and I understand that, but there are also plenty of people that are struggling with that push off, and that is impacting their ability to get their leg through, and they're putting too much emphasis on knee up, toe up, as opposed to pushing off with the foot and pushing out with the foot, and that's what's making it so they can't get their PRs when it comes to running, or they can't get much faster when it comes to running. It's because of that little detail. You want this to be a small adjustment within the mechanics, but you do that every single step and see how that's gonna result in your sprinting. All right, so I hope that helps being able to better control your ankle at foot strike, and of course make you run faster. If it does, if you like the information, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, you can leave those down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.